So there's a number of reasons someone might want to submit books to CGC. First of all, it could just be books that are in your collection that you love and you want to protect them and have them displayed on your wall. Monetary value aside, you just love these books and you want the world to see them, right? That's one reason. But the second reason is you might be wanting to make a little bit of profit on buying and selling comic books. So what you do is you buy a raw copy, a high-grade raw copy, hoping to get a high grade of 9.2 or whatever or higher at a low price, and then you submit it to CGC, get the book back, and then you can mark it up substantially and make back your cost associated with it, plus a little bit of a tidy profit. So how do you choose whether to send a book or not, and what books you should be looking for in the first place? So that's what this video is about, the profit side of it. So I created actually a spreadsheet to help you out, and I'm going to give that to you for free. It's going to be in the description, the link to it. I'm going to show you it here going forward on the computer, and we'll look at some books, and we'll decide whether or not we should submit these to CGC. The spreadsheet will do a lot of the work for you, showing you what you spend, what your costs are likely to be, and then how much you could expect to have in profit. So let's get to it. All right, so here's the spreadsheet that I came up with to help me evaluate whether or not it's profitable for me to send a book to CGC or not. Now, there's two ways of using this. You can either use it before you buy a book, if you have a list of books that you want to speculate in or see if you can make a profit in them before you buy the books, or set the max value that you should be paying for a particular book. This is a really good tool to use. And the other way that you can use it is if you've already purchased a book some time ago and you just want to evaluate whether or not you can profitably send this book to CGC, or whether you should just hold it while it's raw, or even whether you should go ahead and just sell it raw. So let's go ahead and look at that way first. Let's say we have a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300, and so we'll enter it into our sheet right here. And it's in box 1. And what we put here is what we think our approximate grade is. Always err on the side of caution, but let's say it's a really sharp book. You think it might have a chance of getting 9.6 or 9.4. But you're going to err on the side and just say that you're likely to get at least a 9.2. So keep that in mind. I kind of err on the side of caution on everything on this sheet when it comes to even pressing costs, CGC fees, all that stuff. I kind of overestimate things. So what we'll think about now is we have a 9.2, or maybe it's a 9.0 even. What do we think could happen if we were to get that book cleaned and pressed? Let's say we think we could probably get a 9.4 if we were to clean and press it. We actually think we could get a 9.8 or 9.6, but erring on the side of caution, like we said, we'll just think, well, we can get a bump up from a 9.0 or 9.2 to a 9.4. And let's say we got this book at a really good price, a good high grade price for Amazing Spider-Man, probably be something like $700, right? So let's say we paid $700 for this book. Okay, and so now we just need to see what the current value of this book is at a 9.2, let's say. So we'll look here on gocollect.com and we'll move down to 9.2, and a fair market value right now is $11.50, which is pretty good. We picked this book up maybe a few months ago for a good price at $700, and now it's worth graded $11.50. Could actually be worth more than this if we look at some of the recent sales, right? Or it could be worth less than this. So, some of the latest sales have been around 13 or 14. But we'll just go with this fair market value of $11.50, once again erring on the side of caution here. So we'll say it's worth $1,100. And our possible value after press, let's say we did bump it up to a 9.4, well then we'd have a value of $1,600. Just right off the bat, you can tell it's definitely worth pressing this book if you're going to get a $500 increase. So once you put in that information, it instantly gives you the information you need. So in this calculation for net profit minus fees, that includes the value, the cost of pressing right here, but potential CGC fees. And I recommend when you put these in here, whatever your charges are, you go ahead and bake in the shipping costs. So I don't know what it is, maybe $22 for CGC, but then figure, depending on how big your submission is, I like to do, at least 10 book submissions. That way I'm not overly paying for shipping costs. And in fact, I recommend getting that 20 comic box sent to you from CGC, or the 40 box. And then you've shipped it the way people like to, securely, and it's just an easy thing. You don't have to try and package it yourself, right? It's done for you, kind of. So anyways, that's baked into the price here. So net profit minus fees looks like it would be $671 for this book. However, if we were to sell this book raw, after we pay like eBay fees or whatever we're selling, auction fees and all that stuff, for the price we'll be able to sell it raw, we're probably going to lose money. So we can kind of see that. We didn't get such a good deal on it that we're going to be able to make money raw. So we definitely, if we sell this book, we want to get it slabbed. So, I mean, there's our answer right there. It is profitable and it is worth pressing. So we want to put here, submit yes. And then whether you keep or sell, that's your own decision, right? And then we go back to status here, and I would just as a reminder to yourself, needs sent to CGC, needs submitted for press. Okay, needs submitted for a press, so we'll put that there. If it didn't need a press, we would just put needs sent to CGC. Now you guys can alter this however you want, and you can tailor this or customize it however you want to do. And by the way, when you get this sheet in, just go up here to File and click Make a Copy and make your own copy. You can't actually, you're not going to be able to, use this form until you make a copy of it. You can't, the cells won't even be clickable or whatever. So make a copy, then you can use it as you want. So the other situation was, we're looking at buying a book and we want to know whether it's profitable, and if so, what's the maximum we should pay for that book. So here's the way we use it. Let's say we're looking for Batman 423, since we're great McFarlane fans, right? So we want Batman 423, which has that really cool cover, also in box 1, whatever. That'll vary based on what your collection looks like. And let's say we have a grade. Well, first of all, let's just go ahead and look at the book we're looking at. Let's say we're on eBay and we're looking at this book right here, which has 30 bids. Current price is $53. And it's got about a day left. So we just look at the pictures and we kind of can evaluate what you think this grade might be, like ballpark it, right? So just glancing at this, I can see it's not super high grade. It's got a pretty beat up spine. It's got that corner doesn't look great. These corners look pretty good though. So I'm guessing this is somewhere in the 7 to 8 range. Just by glancing at it like this, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like an 8. Certainly after press, but we want to err on the side of caution. So let's say this book's probably a 7. So we'll go ahead and just see what this book would sell for as a 7. And we'll go down and see here. I clicked on the wrong thing. There we go, 7. So the fair market value of a 7 right now is about 140. The last one sold for 205, however, but that was back in April. So the way things are trending, this is probably at least a $200 book. But fair market value according to this is 140, but it does look like it's a pretty small sample on here. So I would probably go ahead and just guesstimate this is you probably could realistically sell this book the way the market is right now for probably at least 160. So I'm just going to use, what my best guess is, probably more. Actually, I probably think this is a $220 book you could get for as a 7.0 right now. But I'm going to be very cautious, like I said, on everything, and we're just going to say this is a 7.0. It's probably higher than 7. Remember, we thought this maybe could be an 8, so once again we're being very cautious when we do this. After press, we'll say it's still going to be a 7.0. We don't want to, unless you see on an eBay listing or whatever that it's just creased all the heck and back without color breaks, and that can get a bump, you can go ahead and, but right now we're just expecting that we're going to be able to buy it for the grade it's going to be after it's sent to CGC. So the cost we want to pay for it, we'll leave blank for now. What we'll go ahead and do is just put in what we think the current value is if it was slabbed, which would be 160. And actually, we'll go ahead and enter this as 160 as well, because we're obviously not expecting it to bump up, which we potentially could. We don't know yet. So if we were to send this in for press and it came back as a 7.0 from CGC, we would expect to be able to make a profit of 104 if we paid 0 for this book. So in order to make a profit, we know we're going to have to get this book for 104 or less. And considering we're going to have to pay shipping costs and tax and all that stuff, we probably should know that we need to get this book as on eBay for something less than, let's say, what? I would say something like, well, it just depends on what the shipping on this one was $7 plus tax. We're probably paying about $12. So realistically, we need to get this book for $85 or less, I would say, just to assure ourselves that we're probably going to break even on it. We're not in the business of breaking even. So what you really want to do is brace yourself for like a worst case scenario. So I would say we probably want to get this book for at least no more than $75. So now that I know that, I go back to this here, and if I try to bid last second on this thing, I probably want to bid something like $76.50 or something like that. And if I don't get it for $76.50, well, I just move on to the next book. So when you're looking at books to buy and sell, this is a really good process you can go through. You can ballpark the grade. You can see what the current bid is. You can see what you expect the grade to be after press. You can go through all those variables. Always give yourself a worst case scenario type situation. You know, what could happen is we get this thing pressed, it's an 8.0, you know, and it's worth something like more like 190 minimum, maybe even as much as 250. And now we're making upwards, you know, 50, 70, $100. So if we put a 40 submission together and we average $100 profit on every book, you know, that's worth our time, right? We could potentially make $4,000 or better on that one. Oh, and by the way, I'm currently using this spreadsheet to put together my own CGC submission. So what I'm doing is I'm going through and grading 40 books and what I think the grade is. Then I'm going to submit it to CGC, and not just for profit's sake, but to improve my grading. So if you're interested in that, just click the link above here or in the description below, and you can be taken to the first video in that series, and then you can follow along as I grade each book. And what we're trying to do is calibrate how CGC is grading right now. What does a 9.0 look like? What does a 9.6 look like? What does a 5.0 look like? Whatever. So that's kind of the goal of the series, so I hope you'll tune in for that. So anyways, that's it. And so feel free to use this spreadsheet. If you see any errors or flaws in it, of course, let me know about it in the comments, but feel free to go ahead and adjust numbers however you see fit. If you have any kind of experience with Excel or Google Sheets, you should be able to do that fairly easily. I'm no expert on Google Sheets. Don't even go there. Don't even think that I am. I just kind of have used it over the years, and I kind of did some Google searches to kind of figure some of these things out. And I tried to set it up in the easiest way to use possible. You just put in a few little bits of data here, and it should give you a good relative idea of what you could stand to make profit. I'm not saying this is perfect, so don't hold my feet to the fire if these numbers turn out to be incorrect or I missed something in a formula here. This is really just a template for you to use to set it up to use for yourself. So I hope this is helpful. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to enjoy yourself while you're out there collecting.